If you like your SUVs to be big and luxurious, you've probably had your eye on the Range Rover Sport. It's been a huge success story since 2004, selling by the absolute bucket load, and now it's back. But this time, it's more luxurious, more spacious, and more fun than ever before. Let's see if it's a new smash hit.
The Range Rover Sport gives you almost all of the luxury you get in the more expensive, full-fat Range Rover, but it's arguably cooler, more fun, and aimed at people who enjoy their time in the hot seat, rather than luxuriating in the rear. Which makes sense. If you have the word sport in your name, you'd better be pretty nippy. Luckily, it has the perfect engine for the job.
There are a bunch of powertrains available for the Range Rover Sport. Petrol, diesel, plug-in. But if you're going to do it, you're going to want to do it properly with the big V8, which is what we have here. So this is the current range-topping P530, which gives you a turbocharged 4.4 litre V8 with 530 horsepower and 722 Newton meters, going to all four wheels via an 8-speed automatic gearbox. Land Rover says that's good enough for a 0-62 in 4.5 seconds with a limited top speed of 155 miles an hour. So it's not slow, but it is a bit of a guzzler, maxing out at 24.5 miles to the gallon. If you want to go for efficiency, you might want to look at the plug-in.
The new Sport sits on a new platform. Well, it's based on the same platform as the standard Range Rover, which means that it's still quite large. It's a touch shorter than its sibling, at just under 5 metres, but it's crucially the same width, over 2.2 metres. Narrow roads or parking spaces will need lots of breathing in. But all that size means there's plenty of room for the car's design to take the fore.
The name of the game is reductive design, aka minimising mess. So there are no wild pointy bits, it's just one smooth cohesive shape. The front is very smooth and simple. I really like these sleek headlights, but there's sort of nothing that specifically says it's got a massive V8 under the bonnet. And that simplicity continues around the side. There's nothing too dramatic. It's got the sort of trademark Range Rover Sport detail above the front wheel arch, and the shoulder rises to give it that muscular stance, but it's really not in your face. A set of pop-out door handles, and it sits on these enormous 23-inch wheels. Round the back, the simplicity continues. Nice, slim light strip, dark diffuser. I don't know, I feel like the number plate could do with being a little bit higher, but overall, I really like it.
Lift the boot and you'll get 647 litres of space for stuff. Pop the rear seats down and that rises to nearly 1,500 litres. Being big has its advantages. In the rear, there's loads of space for adults and kids alike to stretch out. You can spec all sorts of rear seat entertainment to keep passengers amused too, and there's even a handy place to plug a phone charger in. Sporty doesn't have to mean impractical.
The rear's all well and good, but what about where the fun happens? So up here you have Land Rover's smart PV Pro infotainment system, which sits on a 13.1-inch touchscreen. It has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which is great if you rely on Google Maps and you like listening to your own music. Having said that, Land Rover's user interface, I have to say, is really smart and very easy to use. It also has a whole host, if you're that way inclined, of off-road information, which we'll tell you more about a little bit later on. The only downside is that it seems very easy to get mucky fingerprints on it. But other than that, it's a nice touch. There are lots of spaces to put your bits away, lots of cubby holes, you've got nice big door bins, and look, not only one glove box, but two. It's certainly been designed with people in mind, big, spacious, and practical. And remember that reductive design from outside? It has it in here too, with these nice smooth lines and cohesive happiness. It's really rather zen. On the road, it is as smooth as they come. You can set the air suspension to be as cruisy or as comfy as you like, and it really is smooth. The engine isn't at all intrusive either. I mean, it packs a punch, but it's actually really quiet. So you just sort of waft from place to place like you do in the bigger Range Rover. However, pop the car into dynamic mode and then you notice the difference. It's a lot louder, suspension's a lot stiffer, and it is a whole lot more fun. The gearbox is imperceptibly smooth. Left to its own devices, it just happily shifts from ratio to ratio with total ease. You can, of course, use the paddles if you want to, which makes it a little bit more fun, but it isn't necessarily needed. That engine though, you can just feel it. There is so much power, so much torque. It's a lot of fun. I mean, it's no sports car, I'll give you that, but I have to say, it is a really good time. You do, if you're hustling it, feel the car's weight in the corners. I mean, at more than 2.5 tons, even with suspension tuned for comfort at its firmest setting, you're going to lose against physics. The steering's light and gives back as much as you'd expect from a massive 4x4 SUV. Not huge amounts, but it's not numb by any stretch.
Off-road, should you feel the need to take it there, well, it's a Range Rover. This thing will take you up and down pretty much anything without worrying. You can choose your own settings or let the car do it for you. And, as I mentioned earlier, the infotainment screen can show you all sorts of interesting and useful off-roading information, such as wading depth, angles, and a view ahead. It's properly smart stuff.
It's a powerhouse of off-road tech, luxury, comfort and power, especially with that V8 up front. However, with prices starting at around 80k just for the base car, it's a really expensive way to get around. I mean, this one with all the bells and whistles is just shy of £123,000, so fun, certainly at the moment, seems to be a rather hefty price tag. That said, the only car that this thing needs to compete against is the bigger, way more expensive Range Rover. So if anything, you'd be saving money by going for this.